And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, I'm your host Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here once again on this Friday, February 9th. We have a lot to talk about on today's edition of the GSMC Football Podcast today, but before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So, with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. We have made it. We have made it to the final Friday before the Super Bowl. We've made it. This is the last football Friday of the year. It's for the biggest game of the year. I know this is all we've been talking about across pretty much every show on the GSMC Sports Network, outside of a couple. Or outside of one, I guess. The GSMC basketball podcast isn't, going to cover the Super Bowl. Although, the host of that, Nelson, was on the Andrew Tate show today. So they talked about the Super Bowl. So, yeah, everybody's talked about the Super Bowl at least once here at the GSMC Sports Network. But, yeah, we finally made it. We've been talking about this for so long. And we're going to preview the game to start off the show. Then for the second and third segments, I'm going to talk about how each team got to this point, kind of give an overview on their seasons, respectively. And then in the final part of the show, I'll just talk about why each team can/will win the Super Bowl. So, with that being said, let's get into previewing this game, even though we've been talking about this for 2 weeks now. But yeah, so the Kansas City Chiefs, they got to this game by defeating the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, and the Baltimore Ravens. The 49ers, they got here by defeating the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions in the championship game. These two teams faced off back in Super Bowl 54, Chiefs winning that game. They played each other last year. I think, what was the final score? It was like 44-23, I think the final score. So now they will be rematching in the Super Bowl, getting that rematch. Brock Purdy's now the quarterback. It's still Patrick Mahomes on the other side. We know this. Brock Purdy had a good season, 31 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, 4,280 yards passing. Patrick Mahomes, 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, 4,183 passing yards. To look at the league rankings comparing these two teams. So on offense, both teams are in the top 10 in passing yards per game. 49ers are 6th. Chiefs are 7th. In rushing, 49ers are 3rd in rushing yards per game, 140.5. That's 3rd. And the Chiefs are 19th, 104.9. Then in terms of points per game, the Niners were 3rd. The Chiefs were 15th. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Chiefs are 4th against the pass, giving up an average of 197.2 passing yards per game. Niners are 14th against the run. The 49ers were 3rd during the regular season. But these last two playoff games, and we've talked about this, concern me a little bit when it comes to stopping the run. And the Chiefs were 17th. And then points allowed, Chiefs defense was 2nd. 49ers defense was 3rd. So going into this game, we talked about it a lot. I've talked about, like I just said, the 49ers run defense, the Chiefs run defense as well. I talked about that. Also, TJ and I touched upon it in yesterday's show when we had him on. So both teams are going to run the football in this game. And from what I'm getting the sense that Christian McCaffrey, obviously, he is going to be involved in the game plan, but they're going to lean on him a ton in this game because that's where you can attack this Kansas City defense, is their run defense. And, and I've been saying this, the 49ers cannot afford to get off to a slow start in this game. These last two playoff games, they were able to come back and win. But against the Kansas City Chiefs, if you fall behind, odds are you're probably not coming back because they don't blow leads often. And of course, on the other side with the defense, they got to get after Mahomes. And they got to make sure that he's not able to scramble out and pick up yards because he can do that. He could scramble for 20 yards. Again, last year's Super Bowl, he did that. In the championship game this year, he scrambled for a big run. He could do that. So the Niners, they got to make sure that they got a spy on him. And, if they're bringing pressure and they're getting to him, you just got to make sure that, somebody's there in case he's able to scramble out of it to get him down so he doesn't pick up a big yard or a big gain. Listen, both running backs are going to be playing key roles in this game on both sides. Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs are going to lean on him, I think, in this game because the Niners defense, against Aaron Jones and then against Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, the run defense for the 49ers has not been good recently. Now, again, both teams have had a couple weeks to prepare for this game, so we'll see how that translates to the game, but that's something that I'm a little worried about too, is the 49ers run defense. And, listen, if they don't get to Mahomes, he could pick them apart because he did that last year. And the other thing too is receivers got to hold on to the ball. Travis Kelce's been tearing it up in the postseason, looking like Travis Kelce, because I know people have been talking about, he's lost a step, all that. I mean, it's been a challenging year for him, but, when the Chiefs have had to get it right, when the money's on the table, they've stepped up, and they look like the Chiefs. And again, the strength of the team this year has been their defense. So I think, they're going to give Brock Purdy some problems. I think there could be a turnover in this game. I think he's going to throw an interception in this game. And you can't afford to do that against the Chiefs because they could capitalize on that. But, it's going to be... actually, what's interesting, though? So when the Bills went for that fake punt, Chiefs didn't get any points out of that. And then I think on the Lamar Jackson fumble, the Chiefs didn't cash in because they went for it on fourth down and they didn't get it. I think it was on that drive. But still, I think the Chiefs are going to give Brock Purdy some problems. But listen, Brock Purdy can move around too. Not as well as some of the other quarterbacks, including Mahomes, but he can move around when he has to. And the 49ers have a ton of playmakers on this offense that I just think it's going to be hard for the Chiefs defense to completely shut them down. I'm hoping this game is going to be a little bit of back and forth. The Chiefs are the underdog in this game, and a lot of people are taking the Chiefs with the points. It does worry me a little bit because if you go all in on that side, then you end up being disappointed. But I don't think listen, again, my heart is with the 49ers. I want the 49ers to win this, but I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I think ultimately they are going to get it done. They've just been on a roll. They've been in that playoff mode since the playoffs started, and I think that's going to continue here. And I think it'll be a close game. I'm going to say the final score is, I'm going to say 28 to 24, I think the final score is going to be. I think the 49ers will put up points here, but because I think it's going to be hard to, shut them down. I mean, they got so many playmakers, but I just think the Chiefs, with their experience, and again, like I said, they've been in that playoff mode. I think they're gonna come away with this win. I'm gonna stick with it. Take them with the points, and they're gonna repeat as champions. At least with me saying, I'm taking the Chiefs. But if that ends up happening, they'll repeat as champions. I mean, they'll officially be a dynasty, and we'll see. But like I said, hoping for the 49ers to win, and again, at the end of the day, just hoping it's a good game. So, but I think the Chiefs win it. 27-24. I think both. I mean, I think there will be turnovers in this game, but I think Brock Purdy will make plays. I don't think it's going to be. Again, I said I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him, but it's just you're going up against a good defense, so I mean they're going to have to, like I said, rely on Christian McCaffrey, to balance the attack, balance the run and the pass. 49ers defense is going to have to step up, get stops. I mean, they got a ton of playmakers on that side of the ball. Get after Mahomes, Chase Young. Again, Steve Wilkes called out the defense, was not happy with the effort. And, Bosa, Armstead, get after him. I mean, we'll see how, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, they match up against Travis Kelce, because I figure they're going to be, lining up against him. And we'll see, like, with the Chiefs, with their wide receivers. Who's going to be the wide receiver that steps up in this Super Bowl? Because actually, the other thing, too, is Rashee Rice. He was a full participant in practice, but then he got downgraded to limited. So got to keep an eye on that. Because if there's a chance he doesn't play in this game, that would be a huge loss for them. Because he's really, in the second half, he's become, a key piece for them. So that's something to keep an eye on. So, and who knows with Kadarius Toney if he's going to play. But, yeah, I mean, listen, it should be a good game. Looking forward to it. And, you could catch it on CBS, Paramount Plus, or Nickelodeon if you want to watch the Nickelodeon broadcast. Because they are playing Sweet Victory before the Super Bowl on Nickelodeon. And for a lot of people that are SpongeBob fans, we're not happy, including myself, with, the Super Bowl with the Rams and the Patriots, where that they only played like a part of it, and then they just, they kind of fooled us with that. So I think we're getting the real deal this time. But you got to tune in. It's going to be before the game, so make sure to tune into Nickelodeon if you want to see the real thing. So there's a few ways of watching this game. So I mean, I can't believe we made it to this point. But again, that just goes to show you that the season just flies by. And like I said in the baseball podcast earlier, football will now be passing the baton off to baseball after this game. Because I know pretty much every year, at least for the last couple of seasons or last couple of years, baseball accounts just start posting stuff the minute the Super Bowl's over. But hey, baseball starts this month, so. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Super Bowl. Who do you think is going to win? Again, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I don't feel great about it just because of everybody seems to be riding the Chiefs, but we'll see. I mean, look, the 49ers, they were looked at as the best team in the NFL at one point, and then the Ravens kind of took over. Then the Chiefs beat them. So we'll see. What happens now? These two teams going at it. It should be a lot of fun. There's a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball on both teams. And at the end of the day, I mean, I keep saying it, like I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, just want it to be a good game. That's all. So when we come back, I mean, we'll continue our discussion because this is a Super Bowl themed show. So when we come back from our first break of the show, I will give my overview on the Chiefs' 2023 season. We'll go through, what happened this year, how they got to this point. We're going to do that for both teams, starting off with the Chiefs. And that's what we'll do when we come back from our first break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.